The Carolina Panthers have done a lot to support their young quarterback, Bryce Young. He's the number 1 overall pick in last year's draft. I guess in this year's draft, the 2023 draft, he's a rookie, number 1 overall pick. There's high expectations there, and I cannot wait to watch Bryce Young. I love this young quarterback. The new head coach in Carolina is Frank Reich, who is a guy that he got fired in Indy, although I would argue had a rough deal with an owner that's kind of kooky, and they had a new quarterback every year. Like, Frank Reich went into Indy thinking that Andrew Luck was going to be his quarterback, and then that really didn't happen. He retired early. And I think everything that went down in Indy with Frank Reich, they weren't a good team at the end. It really kind of fell off the wagon, but my perspective is I believe Frank Reich learned a lot. You become a better coach or person or whatever by going through difficult things and kind of trial by fire and learning tough stuff in those moments. And I think Frank Reich became a better coach for everything he went through in Indy. He's a former NFL quarterback who was the Eagles' offensive coordinator when Nick Foles and the Eagles won a Super Bowl a couple years ago. This is a really good offensive coach that knows the quarterback position very well, and I think is going to pair very, very well with Bryce Young. They've got a pretty solid offensive line in Carolina, and one that's going to benefit from the ability of Bryce Young to run around and extend plays that, they're not a great offensive line, but they're a good enough offensive line, especially when you consider the fact that Bryce Young can run around and make people miss in the backfield and keep plays alive. Another thing going for Bryce Young is that they have brought in Andy Dalton as their backup quarterback. He's a guy who started a lot of games as a starting quarterback in Cincinnati. I thought he did pretty well in New Orleans last year. Friend of the show, Marcus Whitman, absolutely loves Andy Dalton. I think Andy Dalton is a perfect veteran quarterback to come in and mentor him. They've got Josh McCown on their staff, Frank Reich, Andy Dalton. There was a lot of experience playing games in the NFL at the quarterback position in Carolina. A lot of quarterback brains there to help Bryce Young develop. It's a pretty cool situation they've got going on in Carolina. They brought in a running back, Miles Sanders from Philadelphia. They added 2 receivers. They brought in Adam Thielen from Minnesota, a guy who, Adam Thielen is aging. I mean, there's a reason why Minnesota replaced him with Jordan Addison in the draft. But I think he still can do some good stuff. They brought in DJ Chark. He's a guy who, DJ Chark has really struggled to stay healthy throughout his career, but it's not a terrible receiver duo, Adam Thielen and DJ Chark. It's got a limited long-term shelf life because, again, Adam Thielen's getting older. Can DJ Chark stay healthy? I'm not sure of either thing. But on face value right now, that's a decent wide receiver duo for a young quarterback in his first year in the NFL. They also signed a veteran tight end, Hayden Hurst, out of Cincinnati. I like that. And I really, really think that people don't understand. The owner, David Tepper, gets a lot of flack. I really, really like David Tepper, the Carolina Panthers owner. He's not afraid to spend money and try to win that way. He will spend money and do whatever it takes to try to win football games. He spent a lot of money to get Frank Reich, the coaching staff he wanted. Take a listen to some of the coaches they've got in Carolina. They hired Dom Capers, D'Angelo Hall, Josh McCown, Deuce Staley. That's a lot of guys who have a ton of experience and know the game really, really well. And the big hire they made in Carolina, they hired Ejiro Evero. He was let's be honest. The Denver Broncos were a disaster last year. However, somehow in the middle of all of that, the bright spot in Denver was their defense and their defensive coordinator who got them to, despite everything going on, the disaster with Russell Wilson, the head coach was a failure. He had the Denver Broncos as a top 10 defense last year. To me, that's really cool and impressive and speaks to not only his ability as a coach, but his ability to handle a lot of nonsense going on. People don't understand how difficult that is to, when your offense isn't giving you any support and your franchise appears to be imploding, to still have your defense perform at a high level is really impressive to me. And they've got a solid group on defense. They've got pass rusher Brian Burns. He's awesome. I think all across the board, they've got a bit of an underrated defensive line that's going to be, teams like New Orleans are supposed to be good to win the division. Good luck against Carolina. They're going to really challenge you and make it difficult. They added Justin Houston to help their pass rush. They've got J.C. Horn, a stud corner. They signed safety Von Bell. They're kind of weirdly loaded at corner, actually. They've got, D'Angelo Hall is their guy working with these cornerbacks. And some of their backups include Jeremy Chin, who's a really good stud. C.J. Henderson is a former first-round pick who is a backup but has a lot of potential. It's pretty interesting what they got going on in Carolina. And I think their coaching staff, man, is just incredible. The people they've brought in, think about this again. Here's who's helping Bryce Young in the quarterback group. Frank Reich, former NFL quarterback, did a lot of incredible stuff, long-time NFL coach. Josh McCown, longtime NFL quarterback. And then the backup quarterback is Andy Dalton. Think of how much experience and years of NFL quarterbacking are in Carolina helping him. It's really cool. It's not often you get a young quarterback with that many quarterbacks or former quarterbacks in the building helping him. And I just love what they're doing, man. Now, I'm interested to see how rookie second round receiver, he's a rookie, but Jonathan Mingo is going to be interesting to me. I think he could develop into a starter or contribute at a high level. Receiver Laviska Shenault could also contribute. Carolina, honestly, to me, has enough talent to win their division. I know that's a tough ask for a rookie quarterback and a new head coach, and they could start slow, which is why I don't have them winning their division in my predictions. I have Carolina going 9-8, but I feel really, really good about where things are going with them, and I'm just not sure how long it's going to take Bryce Young to settle in and start playing at a high level, but I think once he clicks, it's going to be awesome, and I really, really, really believe in him. If he's good immediately week 1, then the 9-8 record I've predicted is too low, quite frankly. I think they're a team capable of a lot more. It's just how quickly does it take for Bryce Young to settle in and start playing well. But I think it's going to be really interesting. Carolina could possibly win that division. And if Derek Carr gets hurt, this is the next team up, in my opinion. It's going to be a bloodbath. I really think the NFC South is really, really even. I mean, there's a lot of... These teams are all going to be neck and neck. They were last year. They're going to be again this year. But I think there's a small chance Carolina could win their division. And Carolina and Seattle are two teams that I think they're really interesting. They're young. They're talented. Everyone talks about the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the Jaguars are a young, talented team heading in a good direction. But Carolina's got a lot of potential. And regardless of what happens this year, I truly believe when the year is over and Carolina Panthers fans talk to each other and look in the mirror, I think they're going to feel really good about the future in Carolina. I like Bryce Young. I like the coaching staff. I like a lot of their young players they're developing. I think the future is really, really bright in Carolina, and I love what they're doing and the way they're supporting their young quarterback, Bryce Young.